Hello, everyone out there. Hi. Let's see. Let's turn down all our sounds here. So, hey,
Hello.
how are you today? So, hi, everybody that's joining me. We're going to start the watch party. Remember to start the watch party, share the information because this is going to be some good stuff today. Good stuff. So, yep, it's going to be some good stuff. I always get this. Let's see. Do. So, okay. Let me start my watch party.
You let me know when you start.
Okay, let's see. That has gone live, and I'm gonna start a watch party. Yes, share, watch. You can hit share, and then hit watch party, and then hit start watch party. Great.
Okay. I'm on Yvette McQueen MD.
Yep. And then when you hit that we're live, you go to the bottom and then hit share.
Okay.
And it,
Oh,
and it says start watch party.
look at that.
Yeah. So all your friends can check this out. Okay.
Look at that. All
So
right.
hello, everybody. I am Yvette McQueen MD, a global physician on a mission to educate about health, travel wellness, and disease prevention. So I am here today to talk with Dr. Nina Washington. She's an MD and PhD. For those of you that don't get those initials, she's a physician doctor, but also have a master's in public health. Okay. She is a world traveler. She's a doctor. She has a passion for life and lessons. She decided to walk away from medicine and do 12 countries in 12 months starting
Right.
last year. I think it was last July. Well, guess what? She's been stuck in Croatia for the last 4 months since March. So I wanted to bring her on so she could tell her story about life traveling around the world as a physician. So, welcome, Dr. Nina.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yvette. I'm so happy to be here and so grateful to have the opportunity to just share my story.
Oh, great. So now we know you're American, you're from the United States,
Right.
but where did you live and practice medicine? What type of medicine before you
So
left?
I was born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi, and after I finished all of my formal medical training, returned to my hometown of Jackson, Mississippi, where I practiced pediatric rheumatology for 6 years before embarking on my journey.
Wow. Okay. So what made you say I'm gonna do it? I mean, is it your passion for travel or what?
Well, I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I think the first was that I always had this desire to study abroad after the fact. So while I was in college, I was like, oh no, I have to study, I have to go to medical school, I have to become a doctor. And I just didn't realize the importance of traveling at that time. And it's always been one of my regrets to travel the world and to live abroad. And so after you know the deal, you go to college, you go to medical school, you go to residency, and then for me, you go to fellowship, and then I
Oh,
practiced for
wow.
6 years. And fortunately, I was single. I didn't have a husband or any children. And I just said, you know what? I've done everything I set out to do. Why not now? So I decided to travel. And I think there was also a part of me that just wanted to see what else I could do other than being a physician.
Okay, great. So my guest from last week, Dr. Carmen, said the same thing. After she had
Right.
completed it, she decided to travel, and she didn't get her first passport. I think she was 26, 27. When did you get your first passport?
So I saw Dr. Carmen's interview with you, and that resonated with me because I got my first passport when I was 28. 28. So
Oh,
my
wow.
yes. My first international trip was to St. Lucia, and it was actually sponsored by my residency program, the University of Chicago. They had a collaboration with the hospital on the island, on the south part of the island, and pediatric residents could go and do anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks of residency training there. And so, fortunately, yes, definitely, I took them
That
up on the offer.
that's wonderful. Oh,
Yeah, so that was my first international journey.
great. Okay. So tell me about the remote year. What is it?
So, Remote Year is a program that enables you to have essentially a digital nomad lifestyle. So, I was a little different from most of the cohorts that I was traveling with. Essentially, what they do is they launch groups to travel about every 3 months. And some of those groups will be traveling for 12 months, some will be traveling for 4 months. And they recently just launched a new program given the pandemic where people can travel within the United States for 2 months at a time. But your group with a cohort, mine had 25, and the goal was to travel to 12 countries in 12 months. So we spent anywhere from 28 to 35 days in a country. Then you pack up your 2 suitcases or your suitcase in your bag and you move on to the next country. And most of the people that I was traveling with, they were marketing specialists, they were graphic designers, they were IT specialists, architectural computer specialists, computer science specialists. So I was the only one in healthcare, which was interesting because one, I wasn't always able to, I guess, parlay my skills into the digital nomad lifestyle unless somebody hurt themselves. And then I was finally useful because, Nina, what do you think about this? But I'm also grateful that I was not in my comfort zone because I learned so much technology wise, so much about YouTube and social media and just so many things that have become useful since traveling with Remote Year.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, did you pack a medical bag with you and take supplies?
Yes, so that was the inside joke with my group is that if you needed any medication, I had it. And that wasn't just even Remote Year. I never traveled without my own home pharmacy. I have Dramamine, I have Bonine, I have Claritin, I have Benadryl, I have steroid cream. You name it, I have it. I don't travel without my medical bag.
Now, did you ever have to like go out to the pharmacies in these different countries and look for medicine? And how
Mhm.
did that different than getting medicine in the United States?
Well, one thing I would say is it just depends on the country. It definitely depends. I remember one pharmacy in Peru, I actually wanted to get the medication for altitude sickness and the cetazolamide. And so I go to the pharmacy and I'm using my rudimentary Spanish and I was asking for the medicine for altitude sickness, but the pharmacist was offering me Xanax, and that would never happen. That would never happen in the United States. Oh, just have a little Xanax. That'll calm you down. That would not happen. So in
Oh my
Peru,
goodness.
it was interesting, I would say. And then when I got to Mexico City, I thought Mexico City was actually very interesting because things that we can't even get in the United States, the one thing I think of specifically is Voltaren gel, which was a gel that I would often use for my arthritis patients when, especially if they had kidney disease and I didn't want them to take anti-inflammatories, I would recommend Voltaren gel. But few and far between would an insurance company pay for that. Well, I go to Mexico and it's sitting right there on the shelf. You can just buy it for the equivalent of about $10. So it just really depends on which pharmacy. And then most recently here in Split, a friend and I were traveling to Dubrovnik for a week and I needed ibuprofen. We have to ask for ibuprofen because it's behind the counter. So it really just depends on what country you're in.
That's right. Well, you're missing the commercials about Voltaren because there's new commercials with Paula Abdul and Voltaren.
Really?
So they're coming back with it.
which means that the price will just go much higher.
Of course it will, because they have to pay for that advertisement. They
Right.
won't
They
do
have
it
to
for
pay for
$2.
polling.
So you already mentioned some of the countries you traveled to. So you traveled to Peru,
Uh-huh.
Mexico. Where else did you travel to this year?
So we did 4 months in Latin America, which included Peru, Chile, Santiago, Chile, Lima, Peru, Medellin, Colombia, Mexico City, Mexico. And then we transitioned to a new continent. We went to Asia and we went to Hanoi, Vietnam. And after Vietnam, I did a side trip to Siem Reap, Cambodia, and then Chiang Mai, Thailand, Kyoto, Japan, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I did a side trip to Bali, Indonesia, and then we transitioned to Europe, where I am now, Croatia. Croatia was supposed to be followed by Lisbon, Portugal, Valencia, Spain, and South Africa, but we all know what happened to that.
Yeah. So you have been there since March. Tell me what happened when all the pandemic, you have a public health degree, so you understand the pandemic and disease.
Right.
So when they said we're calling all the US citizens home or we're closing the borders, what happened with you?
It was pandemic is a great word because it caused pandemonium in my group. Everything happened so quickly. I think remote year really tried their best to ensure that our travels did not get interrupted, but it came to a point where we just had to see the writing on the wall, and a decision had to be made. And so within a week's time, we went from remote year saying, well, you have three options. You can go home and come back, you can leave the program and come back, or you can just stay for what they thought would be 2 months in Croatia. And then within 48 hours, the level 4 advisory from the United States government was issued, where they basically said no one can travel. And we were left with the decision of either you return home to the United States or you stay in Split. And so myself and another young lady decided that for us, in our specific and unique situations, staying here would make more sense. And it is a decision that I am grateful that I made every single day. Not one day have I regretted staying here instead of going home.
Wow. So you had to actually get rent for long term, learn.
Mhm.
Now, Split is Split. Now, I'm going to tell you, last year, this time in July, I was getting ready to go to Croatia because I spent a week
Wow.
there. You know, we did the kind of yacht tour, and I
Uh-huh.
actually flew into Split. So, Split is that's not the capital of Croatia, if I remember correctly,
No,
right?
the capital is Zagreb.
Okay. But a lot of
Mhm.
people go into Split because it's very tourist, right?
Mhm.
And they
Right.
have the harbor and the yachts, and that's where a lot of the trips start.
Right.
So you had to find an apartment and
Mhm.
learn how to live there. What about the language?
The language is, I think that the best way to say it is the language is unlike any I've heard before. So I was very familiar with hearing Asian languages. I spent a lot of time in the Bay during my training, so I was used to hearing Asian languages. We spent 4 months in Latin America. I was used to hearing Spanish, but Croatian is unlike anything I had ever heard before. And so I'm still getting used to hearing it. I think one of the first steps in learning a language is actually being able to hear and decipher the words that are being spoken. And I'm slowly adding phrases to my vocabulary, but it's unlike any language I've ever attempted to learn before.
Okay. And did they go down to a lockdown and then slowly open, or how did they handle the pandemic?
Yeah, so I think the thing that Split had going for them, or Croatia in general, I should say, the thing they had going for them is once the pandemic was declared, all bets were off. It was not any, well, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't, let's wait and see. It was, okay, everyone go home, no one on the beach, no one on the streets. You can only go to the pharmacy, the hospital, the grocery store, and the bakery, because bread is big here. Everybody buys a loaf of
Oh
bread
God,
for
it's
dinner every day.
important too. Oh. Yes, I remember the bread. Yes.
And they were very strict about it. If you were caught walking around, they would stop you and say, well, hey, where are you going? There was no like meandering, no loitering. You were either headed somewhere or coming back from somewhere. And that was it. They closed the beaches. They patrolled the beaches. They shortened the hours of the grocery stores. Everyone had to wear masks. They had timed entries into the stores. You had to keep 2 meters distance because, metric system here. So 2 meters, 6 feet, and everyone complied, and it just worked really well. And we did that for 2 months. We did that from March 24th until May 11th.
Hmm.
And the cases we topped out at 20. We, like I'm Croatian. The country topped out at 2,300 cases. The whole country only had 2,300 cases. So as a country, Croatia did very, very well.
Wow. Wow, that's wonderful. So, but
Yeah.
it's open now, and um, is you can go back and eat in restaurants now because I saw you post you were sitting at a restaurant, what open air
Mm-hmm.
outside
Right.
restaurant. So it's
Right.
open now.
Yeah. Split is Croatia, I should say. Croatia is most definitely open. But to an extent. So the thing you hear from a lot of locals is some locals are very upset about the coronavirus because Croatia in general relies very heavily on tourism. And so many of the Uber drivers that I ride with say how coronavirus pretty much ruined their summer. They're not sure how they're going to survive for the summer because they rely heavily on that income. But then there are other locals who say we have our city back because in the summer this place is swarming with tourists. We can't even enjoy our own town. So I find that they're in two camps. Either they appreciate the fact that there aren't tourists everywhere and they can actually enjoy their city, or they're very resentful against the lockdown because it's affecting their income.
Now, you're right, their tourist season is usually what from April to October, right?
May to September.
May to September. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
May
Now,
to
is
September.
it open to U.S. citizens? Can I come there?
You can come, but how easily you can come is the question. I think it takes about 3 flights to get here, and you have to have a nasal swab within, I'd like to say 48 hours, a negative nasal swab, somewhere between 48 hours and I think a week or so.
Okay. Yeah, because when I flew there last year, I flew through London and then to Split. And I know some people went through France and Italy and different places. So
Hmm.
if you go to the EU, you're going to get stopped and sent back to the United States. So if you want to come, the UK might let you go through. So people out there, it's still usually like 2 or 3 flights to get to Croatia.
Yeah.
And like you said, you need that swab, that
Right.
negative swab, because they like, don't bring it here. You can
Right.
bring the money, but don't bring Corona, right?
Don't drink, which is interesting because ever since they opened the borders, the cases have been going up. So well, no, I can't say I find it interesting. It's the economy. They need the tourism, but ever since the borders opened, the cases they've steadily trickled up a little bit. So they're
But
they're
that's
asking for.
from the other EU countries, right? Well, first of
Yes,
all, Croatia is
yes,
not in the EU, right?
it is in the EU. They became part of the European Union in 2013.
Oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
But they use their own money. They don't use the euro.
No, they use the kuna, the Croatian kuna.
I know. I still got some left over.
Oh,
That must mean that I plan to come back. Okay.
come on.
So, have you ever considered practicing medicine outside of the United States?
I have considered it. I think the things that have limited me so far is the duration of time that I've been in places. 4 weeks is not enough to get licensed. 4 weeks is not enough to procure a job. I think if I ever were able to stay in a place for a significant amount of time and be able to learn the language, I would consider it. Because many of the countries that I've gone to have universal or socialist health care. And so doctors are not worked as much as they are in the United States. And there's a little bit more quality of life. And so I think I would be more inclined to do it in another country.
That's what I keep hearing, that quality of life. That quality
Hmm.
of life. Now,
Hmm.
I do follow your blog. I've followed you, and what I see that you're reading, which is great, and you give a lot of book reviews. I
Uh-huh.
appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
Well, one of your blogs talked about how you got naked in front of a group of people you didn't know. You want to explain that?
Sure. So that blog, well, before I explain that, I do have to say, if we can make one correction on the blog, it's Nina T. Washington.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, Nina T. Washington. So that particular blog was a really good learning experience for me, and that took place in Kyoto, Japan. And in Japan, whereas in the U.S. on Friday nights we go to happy hour, we go to the lounge, we hang out with our friends, and kind of unwind. In Japan, after the end of a long workday, they go to a sento, and so what that is it's a bathhouse, and essentially you strip down to your birthday suit and you go and enjoy these thermal baths with everyone. And so I am a very germ conscious person, if you will. Germ conscious sounds better than germaphobe.
Right.
Um, I'm a very germ conscious person. And so, like, the whole time, I'm just like ruminating on this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to take off all my clothes. I have to sit on this stool, bare bottomed. I don't know when this stool was washed. I have to wash myself in front of everyone because you have to be clean before you enter the Shinto, and then you have to go into the bath with other people. And I was like, but I don't know these people. Where they? So, and then I was body conscious as well. I've never been one of those. When I was the girl in gym class who, you like change inside your shirt, or you like slide the shirt on, you know, you pull things up to pull things down. I was
Right.
that girl. Like I was I still am to a certain extent, very body conscious. And so the whole thing was really a life lesson for me. And that's in the heading of my blog, lover of life and its lessons, because everybody in there was a woman. Everyone in there had no clothes on. And so it was really a lesson to me in how to be comfortable in your own skin, because if you can't be comfortable in your own skin, how do you expect other people to be
Hmm.
comfortable around you? So it was a true learning experience for me on how to just kind of let go and be in the moment.
Yeah, that's good because I kind of tell people, I work in the ER, people got to take their clothes off. I'd be like, I see it all.
Right.
But then you got to take it yourself. Like, do I want anyone to see me? So that's
Right.
good. That's a good lesson. Tell me three other things you've. We're kind of wrapping up here. We're coming to the end. Tell me three other things that you feel that you've learned these 9, 10 months that you've been out of the United States, traveling the world.
Mhm. Well, I think the first one piggybacks off of that. I got naked in a room full of people, and it's not is not to take myself too seriously. There's a time and a place for seriousness, and I think as physicians, we spend so much of our time studying, training, being at the hospital, being at work, where professionalism is key. You're dealing with someone's child, someone's parent, someone's spouse, and there's also a time and a place to just kind of let go and let it all loose. Or rather, at some point during the year, my alter ego, Katrina, emerged. And
Hey, Sabrina.
hey, Katrina. So that was one thing I learned is, not to take myself too seriously. The other thing I learned is the power of prayer. There were so many times this year where I couldn't call my sisters, I couldn't call my dad, I couldn't call my best friend because the time difference just wouldn't allow me to. It was either you figure this out, you and God, or that's it. And so I think traveling alone for this amount of time really strengthened my prayer life. It really did. And then the last thing I would say I learned is eat everything. Just absolutely eat everything. Just try it. You have nothing to lose, and more likely you have everything to gain.
So you're okay with eating the street food? Because that was one of what your blogs, eating the street food.
Oh, yes. In fact, I prefer street food any day over sitting down at a restaurant. It's faster because, when you go out to eat with a lot of people, it takes forever. And then the check comes and who has cash? Who has a card? Well, I didn't have one. Oh gosh, give me the street food. It's paid for. I eat it. I'm going about my business.
I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. Great. Well, it's been great talking to you. This is great information. Where can people find you and follow you?
Well, I am so excited because just recently, in the past 24 hours, I was able to develop a website. Special shout out to my younger sister, Dr. Lauren R. Carter, for helping me with that. And you can find me at www.ninatwashington.com. There you'll find the links to my blogs, my Instagram, and my YouTube channel. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find a new video sitting right there, ready and waiting for you to watch and view.
Okay, and your YouTube. So you go to your website, which is www.ninatwashington.com, and it's going to take you to your blog. I know your Instagram. I watch is at DocWash11. What's your YouTube too?
YouTube is just Nina Washington.
Okay, great. Nina Washington. Okay, so parting words. When do you plan on coming back? So they let you extend it? Did you, because you can't come back? Because I think our borders are still closed. Did they let you extend it, or?
Well, they'll let U.S. citizens return to their home country. I really am trying to stay as long as possible. Just truth be told, I'm trying to stay as long as possible. I think I have more to lose in both my mental and physical health by returning than I have to gain. So I am working fervently on staying, at least for the time being.
Okay, well, let me know. Okay, parting words to your fans out there.
Oh, fans. I think my parting words would be: step out on faith, prepare for that step out. Don't go unknowingly and without the proper preparation, but make a plan, step out on faith, and follow your dreams.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We appreciate you sharing your story. I'm so glad you came to. This is my series, Physicians Around the World. These are my friends that I found that love to travel. Well, I'm the travel doctor. So we talk on Facebook and but I know that I have friends that are living and traveling the world. And of course, I'm envious right now because I'm afraid to get on a plane right now.
And you should be.
But I want you all, thank you, Nina. So once again, so you know who I am. I am Yvette McQueen MD, a global physician on a mission to educate about health, travel wellness, and disease prevention. So as an emergency physician, travel doctor, I help people like you and everyone else, travelers, to stay healthy and safe through my telemedicine concierge practice, through my book, Travelpedia, and look for a new book coming out soon. And my website is www.YvetteMcQueenMD.com, where you can contact me. And in all social medias, I am YvetteMcQueenMD.com. Come and join me next Friday. I'm going to talk to another doctor, Dr. Mia Armstrong, who was attempting to do the remote year, and her year got abrupted also. She didn't get as much joy as you got, but we'll hear her story and her passions for travel. So thank you, Nina. Everyone have a safe and wonderful day. Ciao for now. Travel well. Peace.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
Goodbye.